because I think motorsports always needs to be a proving ground and needs to trailblaze, try new technologies, raise awareness for them. And there is no hydrogen racing series, and we know that hydrogen is going to play an important role in our economy in the future, potentially also in many forms of mobility and transportation. And therefore, I think it's awesome that Extreme E is taking the leap of faith and committing to that technology. And I can see it also from the amount of sponsors and even car manufacturers now that are writing me, suddenly new interest, because they're like, wow, hydrogen, yes, hey, we want to be involved in that. Whereas by being electric, we're just one of several others by now. So I think it's a very, very interesting new dynamic. I think it's very, very smart. Because even players that are not necessarily road cars are starting to be interested, like energy players who are really betting on hydrogen are interested to join Extreme H. Because it's a part of the story. It's about hydrogen, and they can have their guests come and everything. So it's bigger than just car racing, and that's, I think, very, very exciting. So I'm very happy about this move going on, and that's an ultimate goal also, to partner with a manufacturer, because it gives technical support, it gives financial support, it gives reach also, because a manufacturer will always activate the racing team. So it really enhances our reach and the fans we reach out and everything. So it's always a target to eventually team up with a manufacturer. So, I mean, James, if I can add, it's also interesting because Extreme H, Alejandro thought that he would just decide hydrogen and we'd go racing straight away. But now it's been interesting how immature the technology actually still is, and how difficult it is to actually implement and put it in place in a racing car. It kind of surprised everybody. But in that, then again, we are kind of now supporting as a championship to push forward this technology, because we have to make it work now in a racing car at high performance. And that's putting a lot of partners like on the edge now to accelerate their progress technologically, So that's how motorsports can be really useful. I mean, for me, there's two things. I would like to see more events in I think it would be nice to have this balance between these very extreme locations, like the next one in Chile, but at the same time racing close to home, because also close to home we have flooding, we have droughts, even in the center of Germany. So there's causes there that we can really highlight and support with. And so I would like to see a balance in future with some more races close to home, but also those very far out races, which really are going to places where the climate change has had the most extreme impact so far in the world. And I think that balance would be good. And then of course more races would be good, and a more regular calendar, so we have a greater, so we help our fans also to better follow the sport, but in a more regular way. I think that would be two things that I would hope to that can happen with Extreme H. Close to home, it would be Germany and the UK. I think those are two important ones, and probably you'd add the US as well. So you'd add the US with a race. I mean, California, whatever, which already was in discussion. That would be good. And then about the faraway locations, I think we've got them pretty much nailed. I mean, with Greenland, that was spectacular. In the desert there where we're racing, that makes a lot of sense, because you can really highlight the drought and how farming and arable land is becoming more and more scarce. Probably like Amazon rainforest would be an important one, to highlight also deforestation and the issues with the biodiversity there. So that's another one. So probably maybe the Amazon is the one that we should most focus on to go to.
Hola, hi Nico. I want to ask you about a competition, about the sport, because we are racing is extremely a competition. For you as a former driver and now a team owner, how different is to fight for a championship as a team owner comparing to as a driver?
Well, it is very different, because here now it's more about putting the right people together in the team to be able to win a championship. You need to get the right drivers, the right mechanics, the right team managers, and putting all of this together really starts from my decisions. I mean, I reached out to the drivers personally on Instagram with direct message to both of them. And I said, hey, can we talk? I would love to have you drive our Extreme E car. Even the engineer, I was calling everybody trying to figure out who the good engineer was until we found Bernardo. Team manager, we have Kimmo Limatainen, who's one of the most successful DTM team managing champions. So it's really different because here it's about putting this group of people together. And when you're racing, it's just you just have to be doing a great job on the racetrack, and much less doing the whole organizing, you know. So that's different. And then working with the drivers has been interesting because I was on the other side. I was the driver, and now I'm the manager speaking to the drivers. And I'm very careful about like the psychology also, to put pressure on them. I'm very careful about that. Yeah, so that's something that's interesting for me now to manage.
And this is more personal, but if you have to choose one current F1 driver to sign for Rosberg X Racing, which would it be, and what would you say it to convince him? Sorry.
Well, I would say it's Max Verstappen. I would say it's Max Verstappen because he's just the outstanding talent of our time at the moment, and so certainly also in the Extreme E with a couple of laps, I'm sure he'd be incredibly quick. And I would tell him that I think with the reach that he has now and the popularity, I think it would be very nice for him to engage in Extreme E because of the good cause that we're also racing for. Even though, I mean, it's not been his priority so far. There's other drivers who've been more outspoken, like Lewis Hamilton, but it would be more difficult for me to secure Lewis Hamilton because he has his own team, and not too sure if he would like to drive for Rosberg X Racing.
Who knows? Thanks, Nico, and thanks, Josh.
Thank you. But as a past driver, I would like Sebastian Vettel because he loves to be an advocate of all these causes to help support our planet. And he's not, and I think he would be super talented. So I think it would be Sebastian Vettel.
Interesting, very interesting. Thanks, Nico.
Thank you. Not there yet. There's the women are still making progress, but they're not quite there yet. So I think it's still going to take a little bit of time for them to get closer to the men. And that's, I mean, it's just because the men really are at such an unbelievable level. I mean, someone like Johan Kristoffersen is comparable to a Hamilton or a Verstappen in terms of level. It's really, really impressive. So I think it's just going to take a few more years for the women to get closer. But it's been great to see the progress. I'm very happy, and the women are really competitive now in Extreme E. And the great thing about Extreme E is it's united. All the fastest women in the world are racing in Extreme E. So it's really, really, that's really awesome to see. Dynamic because they really push each other. But of course, it's also Johan, since he's quicker so far at the moment, helping Michaela more than the other way around. But still, even so, even Michaela is pointing out things to Johan. Hey, look at the line that he did. We should be trying that. Look at the start. What do you think? They're all they're challenging each other, you know. And it's a very important relationship that they have, and it's very nice to see that dynamic because it changes from when I was racing. It's everyone for himself. And here it's the two drivers together, you know, it's really cool. I hope that Extreme E goes to the locations where we can help the most. And we know that of the problem in Brazil with the deforestation, even though that under the new president it's been reducing by half, is what I read and hear, which is a positive trend. But even reducing by half is still a lot of deforestation, and we need to try and stop it completely, and even turn it around and do a reforestation, you know. So that's why I think it's very important for us to race there, to raise awareness for that, and to try and support also, because if we go race there, we will do either protecting of the rainforest or reforestation initiatives, you know. And so that's, I think it would be a great opportunity. And then about the terrain, I don't know about the terrain, but what I've seen is it's between sand because it's along the riverbank in the Amazon, and then you'll go into the forest and in the fields a little bit. So it's going to be a combination between the sand from the riverbank and then the mud and whatever in the forest and everything. So nothing too unusual.